Adria,
Great.
I have to leave 10 minutes early today.
Okay. So yeah, if you guys miss anything in terms of the, last part of the assignment, I'll be sending you a homework assignment, all that stuff. But
Thank you.
But first, I have been peeking at the Padlets as they've been coming in, and I've really been excited to see what you all have done. And it seems to me that people are okay with the technique. Does that sound like yes?
The jelly plate technique?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got it. Okay,
Mhm.
great. Because that's, that's the main thing. And once you have that down and you understand the whole idea about the registration, you're good. And the rest of it is simply now, the focus is on finding ways to engage yourself beyond just kind of play to, sort of looking really at the composition, to look at ways in which the prints can be used in your art making in a little bit of a more, intentional way. So that's what we're going for here. And as I said last week, there are a lot of really fun, decorative, cool, what do I say? Heck, here's Sarah. Okay, great, Sarah. There are a lot of fun, ways to make lots of cool techniques, and you can find those, all over the place on the web. And you can go to the Jelly Arts website and find these techniques. But what happens with that is that they kind of miss, the art making piece of it. So my effort in this class is to, go beyond the tricks. And not to say that the tricks aren't wonderful. The tricks are very cool and very fun, but we're trying to get a little bit beyond that, because you can find that stuff on the web. You can find how to, all the different things you can use for texture and, various things like that. But we are going to be going over some of the basic techniques. Like today, we're going to be focusing on stencil making. And I'm going to guide you through an exercise to help you make a stencil, that is from your own drawing. Stencils, as you may know, you may not know, there is a whole commercial world of stencils out there. Stencilgirl.com. There are companies out there that, produce and sell all kinds of wonderful stencils. And what I feel about those is I don't have a problem with them at all. I mean, I think they're fine. And I do think too that you can use them in your work in a very intentional way and beyond, a cute way to really make some interesting stuff. But we're not going to be doing that. In here, I would rather have you learn how to make your own stencils and, try to go for something a little bit more handmade, a little bit deeper. So that's what I think. I'm not opposed to looking at Stencil Girl. Did people know that site? Stencil Girl. Oh yeah, Stencil Girl. She hires artists actually to make designs for her, and then she, makes those designs laser cut plastic, and you can buy them from her site, all kinds sorts of sizes and shapes and things. Anyway, so what we typically do in this class is we start by looking at each other's homework. And so why don't we do that today before we get into the stencil making? Because, this is such an important part of, I think, the reason why you're taking a class is to see what other people are doing, to see how they're approaching it. And as always in my classes, it's not about comparison. It isn't about good or bad. I mean, this is the way that you are going to, amplify your learning by seeing, 8 other people or whatever approaching this in a similar way. So let's do that. And we're going to hope for the best with Padlet. And as I said, if it doesn't show up, if you feel like you don't mind putting it up in email, we can go right to it after I go through the people that are on Padlet. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. And see, I have my little folder here. Who's asking? Carol?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see here,
I
the
see,
little
thank you.
class. Yeah,
Yeah.
so, this is the, I'm paying for a subscription, everybody, because I have so many people. I have to make folders for these classes that I have to pay, amount. So I don't think you need to pay unless you want to. I mean, I'm not sure how much more you get for it, but I'm paying for this because I need folders. If you don't need folders, I would say, and you don't want to go for the extra money, maybe think about it twice. But let's start. So right now,
Adria, I'm not showing up on your
yeah,
path.
yeah, I know. So you might be in the shared one too, because I haven't moved everybody over.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
you might be
All
here.
right, great. Thank
So
you.
yeah, so let me start with the one that's, just to save time. Let me start with this, and whoever we miss, we will go to, either back to the shared or to email. So I'm just going to start from the top left and work my way across here. Sarah, you are first. And, again, this is not any kind of a judgmental thing. We're just looking, and, the key here is to ask you ask yourself, what did you learn? Did you have any technical problems? And do you have any questions? So that's what we're going for here. Sarah, what were you thinking? And how did you do this week?
Well, I've been doing jelly print for a little bit. So, I was just I'm doing these, and these are stencils that I made.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh. Yeah, ginkgo leaf stencils, great. And what are you using for your stencils?
I have been using, I try to use recycled and reused stuff.
Uh-huh.
So I use mailing envelopes.
Oh,
There's
great. Oh, that's fantastic. I love it. Yeah.
the white, they're sort of like, they're very durable.
Yeah.
There's like a white kind that's durable. So.
That kind of like Tyvek, do you think, Adria?
I don't know. Is it this sort of slippery surface?
Yeah, it's a little bit slippery.
Yeah, that's like a Tyvek. Yeah, yeah. So Tyvek is actually a plastic, and that's a good thing to use because it's not going to absorb your paint, and it's also pretty thin. So what happens is if you use a little bit of a thicker like paper, today we are going to be using paper, but it's okay. You'll just see that you're going to get a different look to it. The little bit of depth of like a piece of drawing paper as opposed to this very thin Tyvek will sometimes give you a little bit of a white line on the outline, just because it's that much away from the surface of your paper. But that's the difference here. So you don't have that white around. But that's great to know that you can use those. And did you, and so, oh, cool. This looks like you're actually getting the ginkgo leaf.
Yeah, and so these were made with actual ginkgo leaf.
Okay, great. I was gonna say, how did you do that?
Yeah.
What trick are you doing? Yeah, great. Yeah.
Yeah, so these are just plain. Since the new year, I've been doing a lot with ginkgo leaves. Into the symbolism of
They're so
resilience.
beautiful. They are, yeah.
But yeah, this was from your prompt using magenta and ultramarine.
Yeah. Great. And I was just going to ask you this one here. Are you having a little trouble with that ink drying too fast, or was this just ghost thingy? It's it's not a criticism. I'm just curious.
Yeah, that was a ghost.
Okay.
So it just kind of I actually like the texture.
Yeah.
So
great. I just want to check with everybody to make sure that any technical issues are resolved, pretty much. So that, yeah. And I think another interesting thing to point out here is the white. So does everybody get that when you cover your paper the first time around, that's the only way you're going to get white in your print? Make sense? Yeah. So if you want white, from the outset, and it just, don't worry, it takes a little while to kind of get this in your head. I know it's a little bit of backward thinking, but if you can remember, if you're going to save white or you want a lighter, background for a color later on, you need to think about covering it when you put your first color down or your second color or whatever. Yeah.
And these are also actually, this is a combination of stencils I made and actual ginkgo leaves. So
yeah. I'm sorry, Chris, did you have a question?
I just have been having problems with color, and I was wondering if people could just speak to how they added them, because it seems like you get white the first time, but then when you add more on, it gets covered. And so how did you keep that white there, Sarah, because it looks like you have a couple of different
I
colors.
did blocking with the stencil.
Oh,
So
okay.
blocked with the stencil, yeah.
Yes,
So you kept it there for the next print? Is that what you mean by blocking?
Yeah, just block out using paper or a stencil any part that you want to keep, white or preserve.
yeah, we'll get more into
you
this,
don't want
Chris. I
any
know
fun.
what you're saying. And Sarah, I think, let me just see if I'm right about this. Sarah, are you saying that you did put the ginkgo leaves back down on your jelly kind of randomly though? You didn't try to, like she didn't want to keep this all white, Chris, but she, right, the first one, she, is that right, Sarah? You randomly put them the second color? And then where they happen to land did cover some of the same places that the white was in the first print?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
And then I also, in answer to her question,
Yeah.
I also block out if there's an area that I want to keep white. Like if I wanted to do a third layer or fourth layer,
Mhm.
then I would block that area, like with a piece of paper in the shape.
We're going to get to this, Chris. Yeah. So not to worry. Yeah. All right. Great, Sarah. So I don't want to spend a whole lot of time this morning. I do want to just, look at everybody's work and move on. So don't feel that I'm short shrifting anybody here. I just, we're kind of doing an overview. And as we get further in the class, we will, be spending a little bit more time for sure on everybody's. But again, this is just like, what did you learn? Are you having problems? And are there questions from the class, specifically about certain things just to kind of help understand what's happening. So Meredith, tell us, what did you learn? Any technical questions?
Yeah, I learned every single one I learned. It kind of taught me how to move into the next one. One of the things that I started experimenting with was if I took a print and the material just left too much white, I would then take everything off the plate and then reprint the same piece. So it kind of detailed the white areas more and made it a little more subtle.
So like this one here. So for example, this one?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't like the big blotchiness of it. So I just kind of lifted things and then reprinted without repainting the plate. I also, with color, it seems like you can't really easily get a print if you do more than 3 colors. By the time, when I put a 4th color on, most often it kind of turned muddy. So,
can you go to some of the other ones, Adria?
Sure.
So we can see them?
I think to answer
They're
that
beautiful.
question, well, this gets nice and dark. I do think it depends on the print, Meredith. Of course, when you're doing an overall one like this, it's after a certain point you do. But if you're doing one where you're, anyway,
Meredith, what were you using for your object?
oh boy, some grass, some, I took some mesh and then I pulled it apart, different kinds of strings, feather.
I'm really struck by the intensity of your color in some of them that I had a lot of trouble getting big smooth areas of color. Not that one so much, but there was another one where the color really gorgeous.
This was the last one I did and I misregistered it. It had slipped. And actually it made me think I'm going to start to play with this more. I kind of liked having that band on the bottom. So
it's fun.
I like that.
Let me get that. Oh, sorry. I'm just going to get out of this one here. So that's an interesting thing at the bottom here, as an additional thing. Great. And so yes, you'll have lots of questions and, we've just begun. And today I'm also going to talk about the introduction of using an opaque color, which I had asked you all to just, refrain from using white yet, because, it is a different thing. And it's really nice to just kind of get a sense of what the plain old transparent colors do with each other when they overlap. I think this one, it shows that the pale color that you get when you're just using your ghosts, Meredith, if I'm correct. Wrong.
It's funny. Sometimes I thought, well, I'm going to just do one more, but this isn't going to turn out and then it would be my favorite one. These are full of surprises. So
Yeah, no, I think this one is really striking. Yeah, it's right. You know,
Adria, can you go to the fourth one from the left on the top row? Yeah, that one.
yeah, I was also going to say that, you know, if you feel as though you're kind of all over the place, that's perfectly, at this point in the class, everybody, that happens. You know, it takes a little while and you will be able to anticipate how you're going to get certain things. You know, it just takes a bit of time. So, yeah. Did you have a
Mhm.
question on this one,
The
Mary?
color here is so clean and
Yeah.
like and shapes are so clear. I just
You know,
and there's all this depth.
it's those three colors, the phthalo blue, the quinacridone magenta, and I used Dairy Light yellow, but because I had it, but
Mhm.
those three are just so beautifully transparent but rich
Yeah.
at the same time. Yeah.
Look at all the colors you got just from those three colors.
Yeah.
That's, you know, look, you got purple, you got, you know, the deep, I mean, and green. I mean, that is what I'm trying to say with just three colors. It is incredible what you can get out of
Yeah,
it.
it's
So,
beautiful.
yeah, you don't really need all the colors, although they are really nice to have. Okay, Meredith, we're gonna move on to see, you know, to see what else we have here. Oh, Mary, is this yours? Is this right? No. Sorry. We're gonna go back to yours. Yeah, we're gonna go back. Hold on a second. All right. I'm gonna go back to the print class here. Yeah, here we go. Connie, this is yours, right? Is this right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, let's see what you and again tell us.
Get out of it. Okay. Thanks. Sorry
What
about
did you learn? And
Oh, wait a minute. Now I got out of Zoom.
can you see it?
No. Just a minute. I thought I did, but then let me go back and try. Oh, now I went out. Oh, okay. Just a minute.
All right. Well, you know, I'll just kind of go through some of these. This is an interesting one where I think Connie used, you know, has left a lot of white on the background there, and it's fun to see that one as opposed to going right to the edges. Collage with ink. Oh,
that was the one that I put that soft gel gloss on.
Oh, yeah. You can
Almost dry, but it's not really. I'm gonna try to work with it, but
yeah. No, I think you could do. You know, you could go on top of this with a more. So here,
Yeah.
Connie, used a bit more of the open gel, medium, and had some drying time. But let's just look at
the gel. That's why it wasn't the gel.
Oh, it wasn't the gel. It wasn't the gel.
Gloss, whatever it was. Yeah. But it didn't, it never dried. No matter, I put it on the radiator, I tried everything.
Yeah.
So, but these have possibility. I'm enjoying using natural form, you know, objects. I started throwing dried hydrangea leaves.
Oh, nice.
These, and I like what happened, you know.
Yes.
Like an explosion.
Like an explosion. Yeah.
World,
I know. And there is something very interesting about, you know, really rich, you know, lots and lots of layers. And it seems like the colors are pretty separate too. So, you know, that's an interesting thing. I was going to point out that this is interesting too, because you're using yellow as a final color, which is very transparent. And, you know, you are likely to get little ridges in it because that's just, you know, in the process of trying to put the yellow on so we can see it, I think we all tend to overdo how much paint. So that's how you get the ridges. It's just a little too gooey, but I mean, that may be fine. It's just that it's a lot of paint if you were trying to do a flat color. But I think that there are times when it's actually kind of interesting. So I'm not of the opinion that anything is, you know, bad. It's all just interesting. And if it works for you, then that's fine. But that's what you're seeing here with the yellow. If it's, you know, yellow is really hard as a last color because you are going to get the transparency through it, unless you put it on very thickly. So that's what you've done here, and I think that works.
Well, I was trying to lighten it up because I tend to get dark. I mean, what I like is some of these evocative things that are they're not finished, but like this purple one here, it's kind of up above. I don't know.
No, not that one.
You know, we're on a different screen. I'm on my grand Padlet, but I think you're in a different.
But look, you know what? Look at my screen, because that's,
Okay, let me see if I can get to your screen now.
yeah, you know, you should be on there because I'm sharing the screen. You should be seeing it.
Oh, I am. Well, I am seeing it, but
Yeah.
oh, okay.
We're looking at it. Yeah.
But this one here, I just got thinking about this one.
Uh-huh.
It's not done yet, but it's sort of evocative to me of something. I can't quite tell what it is. It's like a bedroom scene or something.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking of someone, and then I started thinking like that maybe I could do more actual scenes, or not just, you know, I started feeling the leaves get too decorative maybe, and you know, in some cases, not in every case, but
Right. Well, you know, and that's something that we're going to address too, is you know, using these things in a collage mode too. So there may be parts of your images
Yeah.
that, you know, will really work, you know, and maybe up against a you know, a different color that's a flatter one. But, you know, this is all practice. This is all great, Connie. You know, this is all the learning curve that we all have to go through. And just this one here, I think, shows you again all the different variations of the color. Look at all these wonderful colors that come through here. And I know you're just using 3. So, you know, from bright pink all the way to this really lovely blue that just calls out. Okay, thank you. We're going to move on. And again, apologies for not spending a whole lot of time, but we are just kind of drifting over everybody's work. Anne, are you here yet? No, maybe she's not here. Carol, we're going to go to you. All right, Carol. Oh, see, it's Carol, not Meredith. Yeah, Carol's the one. You set this up nicely so that it goes. We're curious how you did this. What are you using and Padlet that allows us to look in a nice vertical line?
Oh, I can't remember what it's called, but I think it's giving me a diagram.
It's easy to find. They give you the choices and you can just pick them and look.
Yeah, that's true.
The downside is you don't see it all at once, which I actually kind of like.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, it's easy. It's easy yet for me because I can guide it down like this. But yeah, tell us, you know, what did you learn, and what's, you know, did you have any technical issues or any questions about these pieces? And yeah, what was this like for you?
I learned how hard it was to control how the ink. I was always feeling like it was either I had too much of the whatever it's called, the open medium, or not enough, because I'm adding the open medium to the acrylic paint. So it was just really hard to control.
Yeah.
I got very impatient.
How did you do the red line in the first one we looked at?
That
the
was
circle.
a stencil.
Oh, okay.
Pencil, yeah.
It really works.
Thanks. I got very impatient with the registration issues, mostly because I guess I like to work on more than 2 things at a time, and I only had room to do 2. And I didn't have that extra room for the 3rd, but even that, I like to be working like on 10 at a time.
Yeah.
And so it just felt too, you know, I just didn't have the patience. But I forced myself you know, to do some.
Good. This is an interesting, this one here. How did you get this? This is an interesting shape.
That was a stencil that kind of got out of hand, you know.
But yeah.
But I like the effect.
Yeah, nice effect. Yeah.
Oh wait, you know something I lied. That the white was a stencil, but the black is actually a print from a half of a pomegranate.
I was going to say, it really looked like a pomegranate.
Right. I actually dipped the pomegranate in a big pool of ink.
Yes.
Of paint. Yeah.
So this would be something we technically call stamp printing, which you can do. You can either do it on the jelly, or you can do it directly onto your prints, everybody. And so this is something that, you know, I want you to also feel that anything you want to do to these prints. I am not a purist. You know, for me, whatever you need to do to the image to make it work is fine. And if they end up being collaged or stamp printed or painted on, it's all good. But yes, you can take other objects and ink them, put paint on them and place them right down on your piece of paper. And that way it's a little easier to control, what you're doing too. So yeah, great, Carol. Yeah, and aside from being the frustration of the registration, were there any other technical?
Oh, the mixing of the colors.
Okay.
But that has to do with the transparency of the
Yeah.
paint, I guess. And just everything.
Okay.
It felt kind of like the Wild West.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
but,
yeah.
That's
occasionally,
beautiful.
it would just kind of something would actually work by
Yeah.
some miracle. And
Yeah.
that's fun.
You did, Carol,
I
how
love
did you do that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
those your stencils, yeah. And
Yeah. No, I
love
know.
that you don't, you can't predict what you're gonna
You can't
get.
predict it. No, but you will be able to, Carol. Just hang in there, and you really will.
Adrian,
you have a question?
for 1 minute. I can't get
Oh,
any, I'm not getting Carol's Padlet. I'm not getting any, I saw Meredith's, but then since I made some kind of snafu and I can't get to it, do you have any suggestions?
Supposed to be on Adria's palette.
Okay,
Is that-
so
no, you should be. Yeah, I am sharing my screen, so everybody who's on this call will see what
I know
I'm
that's
seeing.
usually what happens, but I'm seeing a bunch of people that I don't know.
So all right. So go out of Zoom. Go out and come back in again to this link. Okay, Connie.
All right.
All
Okay,
right.
I'll try again.
Yeah, we have to just deal with this technology. Yeah, Carol, great. Well, thank you. And I think, looks like all is, I think this is a very strong print. And, that's what happens at the beginning is, futzing around with getting the colors right or not right, whatever, learning to use them, learning how to control this. You will develop a knowledge of how to get what you want, but you do have to try all these different things. So be patient.
One more thing that I found really complicated was the right-left thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Having to reverse. And that's, like I said last time, I did printmaking, in art schools.
Yeah.
Not like I've never done this before, but it's like, I guess that was, 45 years ago, and it none of it has remained, and it's it was like rocket science trying to figure out the flipping.
Yeah. Well, you'll get back into it, I'm sure. Let's see. Anne just came in here, so Anne, we're gonna go to you here. Are you there?
Yep, I'm
Okay,
here.
great. So yeah, we're just going through relatively quickly looking at what each other did over the week, and this is how we share all this, knowledge with each other, learn from each other so much. So tell us what you learned, and did you have any technical issues or questions?
Well, the first set were just things that I did immediately after class because I left early.
Yeah.
So it was just the basics of doing it sequentially.
Yeah.
And so, the issue there was just, oops, what happened? Oh, there we go. And it was, is that you picking that or is that
That's me. No, that's me picking it. Yeah.
So that was the one that was the brightest and most interesting to me to see what was coming through. But anyway,
Yeah.
and then you had the ghosts after that, the two ghosts.
Yes.
With multicolor. And then, that was one of the ghosts. And
I see you get into some white here, which is okay. We're actually going to talk about using white today to make our colors opaque. But in this case, you really are just using it as a veil, which is really interesting to know, that you can, create a really beautiful sort of, overlay of like a veil of color with the white that, tones down everything underneath it. It makes it very mysterious. What I love about, monoprints is that unless you know how to do it, you just look at this and you don't know how this person did it. Right?
Including the person who did it.
Yeah. No, neither did you. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Okay.
So I don't really have, this was just all experiment. What can you say about experiments? It was just using the colors that we had and then it was just, I wasn't trying to do any big anything. I was just trying out different textures, different effects. I did try one that, yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably the one I like the least, but it is
Oh,
interesting.
yeah, I actually, what I like about this one is, look at all these colors in here.
Oh,
This is why it's so great to print with paint, because you know, you get these just glowing little areas of color. They
Yeah.
just, you know, because they're transparent, they just really, yeah, I think that's actually quite successful, I think.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, what would you consider, so of the ones I did, what would you consider less successful?
Oh, that's right. You did ask me that question. You know, when I say less or more successful, I guess what I'm looking at immediately is, you know, just going back to, you know, what I would consider a strong composition. It, to me, is the key to all of this, you know, and I'm not a technician about printmaking. I'm looking at printmaking as just another way to make an image. So I'm not someone who's going to be looking at edges and clean edges, or, you know, registration, all that. Yeah, as I said before, maybe you weren't here, but the beginning of this class, however you get to a successful image, I'm all for that, you know. So that's what we're really be focusing on here. But for example, this one, although you know, these colors are really beautiful, I would still, you know, unless you're kind of going for an overall, I mean, and this has its own beauty too. But for me, I'm looking still for a little bit more of a
design,
a focal point, perhaps.
A focal point.
Yeah, which, you know, and it may be just an addition of one more color that has a strong image in it. But, you know, everybody in this class is going to have different ideas about that, you know?
Yeah, well, for me, for this one, I really was looking for something that could be a background to something.
Yeah, well, then you succeeded.
So there are some that I just love the texture, the color as a background color.
Yes.
And so, for example, this yellowish one, the one that's 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, for sure. I think it has a lot to do with intention and also, you know, sort of who's looking. So, but that's all that I'm thinking. And it's a really interesting question, and we'll try to, you know, grapple with that as we move forward. But no, I'm not expecting, these are all, we all understand, this is research, this is playing. I want you all to feel really free about trying things. And that's how you're going to learn and also develop a real repertoire, you know, of imagery. That's how you.
And then there was one that I actually tried different leaves and parts of. So that was the 4th one.
Okay.
And it turned out a little weird because I had repositioned it.
This one here.
This number 4, the one that looks like a big leaf. There's a big leaf in it. No, not that one.
No. Okay.
The one.
Oh, this one.
That's homework number 4. Homework 4. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
And so with that one, I would really like to learn how you make something like that real.
Okay.
How I could get something that would actually be a textural, in-depth look at leaves and blooms and things like that.
Okay, we'll hopefully try to address that.
Well, the ginkgo leaf showed that, but I think you weren't here, Anne.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah.
Well, there
but
is.
If you go to the Padlets and look at them after the class, you'll see it.
Which one?
The one that has the ginkgo leaf. I forget the name of the first person who went.
Yeah, that's Sarah Morrison did some pieces. Okay. Yeah, so there's always the back, leaves. If that's what you're looking for. But anyway, I do want to move forward here so we can get to everybody and not spend too much time on these. Mary Ellen, you are next here.
Not that one.
No, this one. Okay, I'll have to take that other one off. All right. So tell us what did you learn? What technical issues did you have? And how are you doing with us all?
So this, I used a grocery bag that I had stretched out, the plastic grocery bag to get all the texture.
Great, yeah.
And there happened to be blue on the bag, which was old since like the last time I used it. And I
Uh-huh.
figured that won't come out, but it did come out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, that's that's what happens with this open paint. If there's a lot on it, it really doesn't dry. For a long
This
time.
wasn't open. because I only just recently started using open.
Okay. I
It
don't know.
was just some paint from past days.
Yeah.
So the first 3 on the left are all using the grocery bag.
Uh-huh. So,
And I use
really
different
interesting.
layers.
Yeah, so that's really good to know. The texture that you can get from plastic crumpled up is really a great thing to, keep in mind as a something in your repertoire. So if you haven't tried a saran wrap or plastic bags or, even latex gloves and things like that can really be flattened out, the ridges and stuff like that come out very, very interestingly. Yeah, good to know. Nice subtle color changes here too. Yeah.
That I rolled out. I didn't roll it out very well, so it.
Ooh, what's that?
Yeah, what do you
It's a doily.
Doily. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a way in
And
which you use real real things like leaves or doilies that can be flattened out or burlap. You almost get a photographic look. It almost looks like, doesn't it? Because it really takes all this texture so well. That's
a crocheted one. It's not a paper one.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
But I didn't crochet it.
Yeah.
Wow, it's very 3-dimensional. It's
Yeah.
amazing how much it picked
That's
up.
what happens when you use something, that's in the real world. Great, Mary Ellen. So it looks like you're pretty at home with the process here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I know, Mary Ellen's been doing this a little bit too from another class that where she's in. Enjoying this composition. There's enough that holds it together with the repetition of form. And, there's a nice use of negative positive space. So we're going to be talking about all this stuff too as we move on. Great.
And that's my attempt at leaves. Those are geranium leaves.
Right. So yes, and this is what we're talking about when you use a real leaf. So that is one way, that you can get a kind of more real look. Does that resonate with you, Anne?
So this was using just the ink and pressing the leaf into the ink?
Yeah.
I rolled the ink onto the leaf
Mhm.
and then pressed it onto the plate and then printed the paper.
Yeah. So that's something that you can certainly try, and that's definitely very lots of different things you can do with that. So I have videos about that too, so I can show you. All right, great, Mary Ellen, thank you. And
Thank you.
who are we? All right, I'm going to go now to Mary, to Mary's, and you are.
It says Adria on it.
Adria.
Adria's jelly plate. It's the third one.
Okay, here we go. Okay.
Yeah,
All right. So Mary, tell us what you learned, what technical problems, anything you want to share about your work here.
Well, I still have a lot of trouble with the open acrylic inks, and I wasn't getting ghosts. Like when I tried using real printing paper at one point, and I could only get one pull. I couldn't get a ghost, and I was finding that the inks were drying. Not the inks, but the paint was drying much more quickly than I would have liked. So. So technically, I'm still experiencing issues with that.
Yeah, Mary, let me ask you a question. Are you positive that your plate is not a speedball plate?
Yes, absolutely.
You are.
I have yes, absolutely. It's not.
I would contact them and tell them, because that should not happen. I don't know why that's happening to you, but we talked a little bit about cleaning off your plate.
Yeah, I
and all
did.
the other ink off of it. You did
Yeah.
that? Did you do that with alcohol?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
But
that shouldn't be happening, and I would call them and complain. I would. They'll send you another one. They should.
This one is really lovely, I think.
Yeah, I mean, right. You said, yeah.
The other, thank you. The other thing was I have this 12 by 14 plate, but then I realized that none of the papers that we have like fit well on it. So there's a lot of paper waste. And also to be able to do 3 at a time with that size plate is a whole other setup than working with this size plate. So I've been afraid to approach it.
Yeah.
And also because the inks have been drying so quickly, I'm wondering with such a big surface if I'm going to be able to work quickly enough.
No,
Can
Mary,
you give any
I'm telling
suggestions?
you, I have done many, many, many prints with a big plate, and that should not happen. It just should not happen. I swear. You know, it's something is amiss, and even if you call them, they might be able to diagnose it. But you know, it's. Let me just say to the class that Mary was using Akua inks, which are an oil-based ink on her.
No, they're soy-based.
Soy-based. That's what I meant. Soy, but it's soy oil. Right. Okay. So it's a little oily, and my thought, after we were trying to diagnose, is maybe the surface had an accumulation of the soy on the surface, and maybe that was why the acrylic was not sticking. But you know, and my suggestion to that was to clean off the surface using some alcohol, rubbing alcohol, because that is a really good degreaser. But it doesn't seem to have solved the question. But that open acrylic should not give you that problem. Yeah, I don't know why that's happening. Yeah. Yeah.
So as you can see, so that it's just like it's not a lot of clear ink, but go to the ones below. Yeah, and same thing there, but keep going down. Yeah. So the more successful ones are, go back, go back up a bit. Okay, yeah, those gold and black ones.
Yeah, very strong imagery. Yeah.
But still, you know, the ink is kind of messy.
This should not be happening. Yeah.
What is your object that you had printed from?
Oh my God. I did so many things. I don't have a clue. It might have just been some stencil that I had around. I don't know. Go to the next one. Maybe
I really like this one.
Maybe that'll jog your memory.
Yeah.
I like that one, Mary.
Thank you.
Nice.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think I can remember how I did this? No. I think it was a stencil, but I have a ton of stencils that I've just cut out by on my own that are just abstract stencils. So it might have been that.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess. Yeah. No, I mean, it's funny because we weren't living through your frustration about wanting it a certain way, so we just look at it fresh, and there is something really interesting about the layers and the way that this the ink kind of I just want to make it larger here. I'll put a new window. Yeah. How the ink, comes out like this in these little textures. That's very cool, but that may not be what you want. So, that's.
I would like to have a choice. I think on this one is cool, but I would.
Exactly. Yes, I would definitely write to.
This one shows such a nice registration, like with the imperfect registration too. It's so nice.
With the that's a beautiful yellow. It's Indian yellow, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Beautiful color.
And this is lovely, too, with the colors overlapping here. Great demonstration of how these colors really do make.
Yeah, the colors worked. That was I went over it with I guess a lighter blue that made everything greener. Yeah.
Okay.
And then the bird stencil is interesting. Go back up a sec. Where it's just the black and white one. Yeah, that one on the that one. Yeah, so that was the stencil, and I just wanted to see what it looked like, but I like that it's just so simple.
Yeah.
It's like a woodcut.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. There's a lot, especially when you're working small. And I think I said this last week that on the small pieces, the 8x10, and I know it's different when we look on the screen. It just is going to be different, but it's not a very big space. So thinking simply is not a bad thing to keep in mind,
right.
Just as something, to just remark about, that's all.
Yeah. And then the one to the right of it. So yeah, so I enjoyed, working with a real symbol.
Yeah. Great. All right, Mary, thank you so much. Yeah, that's a great to see all these different ways of working, and hopefully, these are answering some of your questions. All right, and let's see, Jackie, we're missing yours, and Jackie, did you send me something on the email?
No, I was having a lot of technical problems this week,
Okay.
and I didn't quite have the materials I needed. I did try doing some with just plain acrylics.
Okay.
But I didn't post them this time.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll catch you next week, definitely.
Yeah.
And Chris, did you email me anything here?
I thought I did, but I thought you said you got it.
Emailing the images.
Oh, no, I shared my Padlet, I think.
Oh, okay. Let's see if it's on here. Let me see if it's on here. So I was saying that, sometime, let me just refresh my screen just to make sure that everybody's up and going here. Let me know if you see yourself. These are everybody that's shared with me. I think you might still need to do that second part where, no, but I found you. That's so weird.
Maybe you found me.
Yeah, I did.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I only have two. It's not a big deal.
Okay, so I'm tempted just to go on, Chris, and pick up, you next week. Is that okay?
Yep.
All right, thank you. And again, this is at the beginning of our class. This is so much about just trial and error, and I'm wondering, anybody have any major thoughts about technical stuff? It's, we've covered the bases. We really covered a lot. Shazia, we missed you.
I sent you an email and it was really long, so I sent only 5 images.
Okay. So let's go back real quickly to that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll do this Padlet thing with you again.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Thanks everybody for hanging in there with this, and we'll just see what we have on email.
I'll just add while you're doing that. After you mentioned the Yupo paper, I did do a couple prints on Yupo paper, just simple, seeing how they looked. And so that was fun. I'm looking forward to, it was a very textured, it was almost like the plastic bags that somebody did. So that was interesting. Like I liked just even pulling one without anything on it, just inking the plate and pulling it.
Yes.
Like a starry night sky.
Yupo can also be used as a stencil.
Oh, it's wonderful for a stencil. Exactly.
You mean that you inked up the Yupo paper and pulled the print from that?
No.
Instead of using the jelly plate?
No, I inked up the jelly plate.
And then put the Yupo down and pulled that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a very non-absorbent surface, and will give you different textures for sure. All right, Shazia, tell us what did you learn, and did you have any technical problems with these, and what happened for you this week?
The color surprises. I mean, sometimes I was getting a little frustrated with the both layers were too dark. So I have to figure out how to use maybe an extra piece of paper on the first layer and then do the ghost.
Yes.
Otherwise the colors become really, really dark.
Yep.
And putting, I like really flat surface. So sometimes the paint was too much and you get that kind of texture, which I didn't want.
Yeah.
So it's just putting the right amount of paint on it.
Yes.
Was another challenge. And but basically I was just wanted to do a couple of layers, just wanted to see what it looks like, because these I want to keep them as samples in front of me. What are the different possibilities before I layering them or collaging them? Otherwise I won't remember what went first. So these are like good examples of just wanted to what are the different ways I can do it, and the color is just that that's the dark and the light. I just wanted to have both dark and light, and sometimes they were ending up the contrast was too dark between two colors. It's just
that's just
that's one thing. Sometimes you can even put less paint and it turns out like lighter color.
Yes.
So
that's right.
Because I have a question.
Excuse me, yes.
And the one in the middle, the black one, or some of them, what is the texture underneath that's coming through? And are you using only stencils?
Yes, I am using the stencils. The texture underneath is something that I did as a first layer to have the texture all over, and then put the shape on it.
And what was the texture coming from?
It was just something, whatever is lying around in the studio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was black?
No,
This
the
is
color
really, really dark green.
dark green?
Yeah.
Chelsea, I have a question too. Because they're beautiful compositions, and I find, like Carol, it's hard for my head to kind of reverse and everything as I'm printing. So do you have a way of approaching composition so you get it the way you visualize it?
No, these are like 3 prints together right now, because I did like quite a few, so I was just combining all 3 of them. You know, the one which has the same shape, just to see the different colors and the.
So they were all done separately, and then you just mounted them together.
They are just, that's the way I took the picture. They are all 5x7s.
We're actually going to be doing an assignment where we work in triptychs and diptychs, meaning that there are 2 or 3 pieces that are done by themselves that when you put them together are an image that is greater than one by themselves. And this is a wonderful way to think about your work, because sometimes one by itself, maybe it is lacking a focal point, or it's just not quite as strong, but you put it next to another one or put it in the middle of 3, whole other things can happen with it. So that's why it's very nice to see you already doing that. And actually a couple of these you started doing that too with the quadruple texture one. Great, Shazia. So that looks like you're having fun with it.
I didn't want to have that many photos. I thought maybe I just combine 4 of them.
That makes sense.
Which I use the same string or the same shape and different colors.
Yep, exactly. You're just playing around with it, what colors you get. Exactly. Great. All right. Did anybody else send me any emails with the images? No, because you can always do that. We are having trouble with with a Padlet. Okay, so there we go. We're going to move on. Time to talk about stencils. So I want us to do some work because it's been a long, an hour's worth of sitting. We're going to get up and move. What I think I had asked you guys to do is to bring a couple of kitchen utensils to the table. Do you remember that? A couple of kitchen utensils, a pair of glasses, some keys, just something around your house that has a lot of contour. We're going to do some contour line drawings, and we're going to see how to create a stencil from our contour line drawings. So go ahead and grab what you need. You just need some paper, about 8 by 10 sheet of paper, a bunch of 8 by 10s, maybe some printing paper, like the computer printing paper, and a black marker or just a pencil. Nothing fancy. And we'll come back together and we'll do some guided contour line drawings. So grab what you need. Okay, so first of all, I want to show you a quick video about what we're talking about with the contour line drawing. So some of you may know this process, some of you may not know it. So I do want to let everybody just watch this. It's very short one. It's only 3 minutes long. So how many of you are familiar with contour line drawing? Okay.
Contour line?
Contour line drawing, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, and I'm gonna show this, and bear with me if you do know what it is, but it never hurts to get a little refresher. So contour line drawing that I'm showing you is a staple of many introductory drawing classes, and a lot of teachers use it to help students become very aware of really looking at what they're doing and not sort of what's the word? Anticipating what something looks like. To look at it and really engage with looking at it. To not have preconceived notions of what something should look like. So you are going to be focusing your attention not on the piece of paper, but on this image on this object that you've chosen. So let me show you how that might look. And it's really a great way to kind of engage yourself with the act of drawing. It's a great way to just kind of lose yourself these days and keep us from the depths of despair. So let me show you this here. This does not have any sound, so I'm going to walk you through it. So in this case here, what I'm doing is going to use a goat's skull. It's a wonderful object because it has so many contours. And for contour line drawing, it's actually easier to use an object that has a lot of information than, say, a Coke can. You want to stay away from something that's too simple because it isn't engaging enough. But that's why more complex is better. It doesn't, and our object here is not about drawing something realistically. It's about following the contours of what you're looking at very carefully and slowly, capturing what's in front of you. So you can't draw proportionally this way. You just can't. And I don't want you to think about drawing something realistically. I simply want you to concentrate on drawing the contours, which is more than an outline. It's not just the outline, but it's also all the information that's within an object. So it's going around circles, it's getting around edges, all with one continuous line. So you don't pick up your pen, you keep it moving slowly, slowly, and carefully, drawing what you see, not what you think you see. So I will time you, and I will tell you, when to lift up your pen, and also to to also tell you when you can look at your drawing. So I would much rather have you not look at your paper, but instead concentrate on your object so that you don't end up worrying about whether it looks like your object. I have a real reason for doing this because I don't want us to, first of all, get bogged down in realism. And also, these make much more interesting stencils if we can get a little, what's the word? Distortion. Okay, so that's a contour line drawing. All right, so you now are going to do your own contour line drawings, and I'm going to give you about 3 or 4 minutes on each piece of paper so that you really do slow down and go carefully, not retracing, not erasing, just letting that line go. What you might want to do is just turn your paper so that you're not able to look at it, that your hand is on your table and your object is in your hand, so that way you're not tempted. It's better so that if you start to look, our tendency is to start to judge, but I don't want you to judge. I just want you to draw what you see. Okay, so one long spaghetti line of your drawing. Do not lift your pencil, keep it going. And go ahead, and I'm going to time you, and I'll just take your time and I'll tell you when to stop. So start in one place and just let that line unravel as you're drawing your piece. Just slow down. Breathe deeply and just lose yourself in the act of seeing. You know, this, I don't know what anybody's drawing. I can't see what you're drawing, and I can't see your drawing. So that's, you know, nobody's looking, just you and your process of unspooling a long, unbroken line to capture the outside and the inside edges, wherever you see an edge or is a line. Just another minute or two on this one, and we'll change our sheets of paper. Okay, new sheet of paper, put that one aside, and with your same object, turn that object around in some way. Look at it, you know, find a way to look at it where it's different. And whenever you're ready, go ahead and start another one with your hand and your eye in coordination, moving slowly like a little ant all around the object, slowly, slowly, drawing what you really see, not what you think is there. Whatever line you're making is a fine line. That is what you want. You just want to lose your, lose yourself in the drawing. Slowly and carefully, just relax into it, drawing what you really see. Just a little bit longer, and we'll change our paper. Okay, put that one aside, take a new sheet of paper. And now with your opposite hand that you usually use, so your non-dominant hand, we're going to do another contour line drawing. And you can pick up another of your objects, maybe a different one this time. And again, slowly and carefully start any place on the piece of paper, carefully looking at what you see and drawing what you see, not what you think you see. Just a little bit longer in this one. Okay. And let's do one more from this object. Turn it in another direction that you haven't seen before, upside down, sideways, some other direction, and go back to your normally dominant hand. and do one more contour line drawing. Okay, let's stop. Great, take a look at your work. It's fun to see. Does everyone just hold up one of the ones you've done, just to a curiosity's sake, so we can see what each other is doing. Wonderful. We should have some really interesting shapes, and that's what we're after. Very, eccentric and interesting shapes that will become our stencils for this class. How about that? Awesome, awesome. All right, great, everybody. Oh, I love these objects that you've gotten. Excellent. Now, I am going to show you a quick video that's going to explain how you're going to take one of these drawings and turn it into a stencil shape for jelly plate printing. Okay, so let me just do this and share our screen. Okay, here we go. Down on the table. So this first part is my making a quick, I'm just going to run you through this here. My quick stencil, contour line drawing of the glasses, right? Okay.
Duralar, and it is a variation on acetate. It's not see-through.
What I'm using here is, I'm showing you how to use something called Duralar, which you can use if you want to make a stencil. You don't have to. In this case for today, we're simply going to use your piece of paper. But, this is something that you can do. It's just another step. It's just another step. So, Duralar is this lightweight plastic. It's either completely see-through or it's translucent like this is. It's a little bit like matte. But again, you don't have to have it. I'm just showing you it's another, when you make your stencils out of plastic, they do last a bit longer. You may really want that. It may not matter to you at all. So let me just take it from here.
It's not transparent, it's translucent. It doesn't really matter. You can see through it. This is also maybe a little bit more sturdy than the acetate. So I like using it. And then this one, I sort of figure out the same issue with the other one is that if I cut all the way around this, I'm going to lose the inside here. So I have to figure out a way to cut these stencil shapes so that I don't drop out the entire shape. Although you could do that. So I'm going to draw here what I would envision cutting out for you, so you can see a little bit better. So I'm just going to go around the edges here, and right here actually I'm going to break that line. And reconnect it up there. So that when, you can imagine if I were to connect it, that would drop out. And so would the shape of the glasses drop out. So you actually really wouldn't have a nice, interesting shape in here. You'd just be, which could be fine too. I mean, it depends on what you're looking for, but I think this shape will be more interesting if I keep this shape in here.
All right, so I'm gonna keep going around this side here. And here, the same thing. I'm just gonna choose to break that line right there. So you're making, choices as you draw here. You're making choices, you see? So I've got another break so that this part's going to be connected to my outer edge. All right, stop this here for a second and cut it out. All right, so I've cut my shape out here. As you can see, it holds together, and I've managed to retain the glasses part, the lenses part, so it's more interesting shape. And I'm just going to show you what this looks like by taking some paint and printing it down here so that you can actually see what I've come up with. I'm going to take a little bit. And also, don't forget, I've also got this shape too, which you might be more likely to use on your jelly because it's a little smaller. But you've got two interesting stencils. You've got the positive and you've got the negative. All right, that's my magenta, and I'm actually just going to. So I'm just going to show you more sense. What it looks like. I think that's a little bit of a learning curve because it is hard to sort of figure out, what you need to save and what you need to cut out in order for your design to be successful, or rather to hold together so that you get what you want. So I'm going to raise this up here, and there you go. So that's the shape that you're going to get, and it looks a little bit like glasses, but printed on your paper and with other layers of colors over it, and maybe printing this several times and overlapping it, you're going to get a really interesting design out of that. That may or may not remind you of glasses at all, but it starts to morph into, it just is just a terribly interesting shape, right? That suggests many different things. Okay, so that's that. Okay, there you go. All right. So what I'd like you to do is to take one of your drawings. Maybe some of the, now that you've seen me walk through it, some of your drawings might be better suited for this kind of cutting out thing than others. So, you don't want to take a real complex, or if you do take a very complex drawing, you will need to simplify it a bit. And, I think this is a way, I'm showing you this because I want to show you a way that you can generate interesting stencil shapes beyond, using the ones that are pretty standard out there, like, things from nature, which is always wonderful, or things like string that we've used or rubber bands. How can you generate your own, hand-drawn stencils? So I'm here to answer any of your questions. Give it a shot, and I'm happy to talk with you as you're working today. What we're going to use is, your piece of paper is going to be cut out. If you happen, if you want to do this later with Verillar or something like acetate to give you a more permanent stencil, you're welcome to do that. But just for today, let's see what we can generate just from the pieces of paper you've literally drawn onto. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. And we'll plan to get back together in about, 15 minutes or so. Don't feel like you have to finish it, but I do want us to get a start in here, and so that I can troubleshoot with anybody if you have any problems with this. Okay. I'm going to mute us all, and if you do need to just talk to me, feel free to unmute yourself, and I will be here.
Adria?
Yes. Yep.
If you don't want to answer this question now, it's fine. But I did have some success with the plate protector.
Great.
But the interesting thing is when I pulled the stencil off, there were all these beautiful little, squiggles. And the squiggles ended up sticking to the skin.
Yeah.
They immediately like became part of the skin. So I was wondering, should I put the stencil in the refrigerator or cold water, like to stabilize the shape?
Yeah, when you're doing a without seeing it, I can't tell. Do you have it there with you?
No, I'm not in the studio, but
Send me a picture of it. I'm thinking that, those kinds of stencils, they're a little tricky to use. You really do have to make it sturdy enough so that it will stay together and hold together. But it's not like using, a sheet of plastic. It's going to be a little wonky. It's possible. Mary Ellen's done one like that. She's our sort of expert on Mary Ellen.
Really?
Mary Ellen's made a stencil for jelly puff printing using an acrylic.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to see it, Mary Ellen. Okay. It was really, it was so much fun pulling it off, and then like within seconds, like all the little legs had disappeared.
You really can't do anything very intricate with it. It just won't hold up.
But
you just can't.
But I did put it in cold water, like when that started happening, and that seemed to stabilize it. So do you think putting it in the refrigerator would?
You could try. Can't hurt.
Yeah.
Can't hurt.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Adria, quick question. We're cutting out the stencil from the paper and starting to print with it?
Well, if you get that far, absolutely. Go ahead and start with it. I do want to talk a little bit about using white to make an opacity. But if you're ready to go ahead and print, go for it.
My shape is very simple.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it is. Or you could do another one, Sarah. Why stop at one?
My other shape was very complicated with lots of holes.
Oh, okay. Well, it's up to you. It's really up to you. This is, the idea here is using paper as stencil and wherever you go with it. It could be interesting. If you feel like taking the time, go for it. Because, that's how you're going to get really interesting shapes going on in your work.
Right. I know. I just didn't want to cut all the
No excuses. You got to suffer. Come on.